Hey guys, it's me Coral. Welcome back to my channel. It has been a while. It's been probably like a week and a half or 2 weeks since I filmed anything because like the world is falling apart and it's really hard to concentrate on doing anything right now. We're under quarantine, self-quarantining. We're self-quarantining. My daughter's school just closed down. I think they should have done it like last week. But Tuesday was her final day, although I kept her home from school a week, so now she's home and it's gonna be more difficult for me to film just because it's hard to sit down and like film a stream of thoughts without being interrupted, and my videos are so choppy and weird when I get interrupted every 15 minutes. Also, like, I just want to be able to focus on keeping us sane, I think, during this time. Lavi is 6 and she is a busybody and she's an only child, so it's like I'm her source of entertainment sometimes, you know, when she gets bored by herself. So yeah, this is what my life is going to be like for a while. So I'm filming a couple videos today, so if you see this same face in the next couple videos, that's why. But today I'm here with some books that deceived me. They were deceitful because their covers are beautiful and their covers are interesting, and then I didn't think that the contents fit what was on the outside. So it was a case where like I judged a book by its cover and I got burnt, and that's just not nice. So as always, like, if you liked any of the books here, I'm not trying to shit on them or anything like that. They just, for me, didn't live up to their beautiful covers. And not all these books, like, I absolutely didn't like, you know, they're just, like, not as good as their cover. So here I am. The first one I want to talk about is, if you can see this, I don't know. This is Wolf in White Van by John Darnielle. And I can't even really tell you what this book is about. It's like a man, I believe he shot himself in the face. I don't really, like, I just kind of powered through this at a speed where it was like, it was so, I just didn't care. I just didn't care. There's like this game that he made up and it was like through the mail, and I don't know, that doesn't make sense probably. This probably wasn't a good book to start off with because, I don't know, I'm just telling you, it was like so weird. The writing style was strange. It was hard to follow. It was almost like a fever dream kind of, where it's like kind of weird and confusing, and I didn't understand it, and I couldn't connect with the character, and I didn't really understand his motivations, and yeah, I don't know. John Darnielle wrote another book I was really interested in called Universal Harvester, which I never picked up because I didn't like this one so much. So if you've read Universal Harvester, let me know if that was good, because that sounds really interesting too, but like, so did this one, and it has a great cover, and so did this one, so I don't know. Next one here, I know I've talked about recently. This is The Possession by Michael Rutger. This is like kind of a sequel or a companion to his book, The Anomaly, which I loved so much. The Anomaly has a great cover. This has a great cover. But I'm not really sure how this cover ties into anything that happens in the story. I admittedly did DNF this, but I read a lot of it. I mean, I read like 280 pages of it or something like that. I read almost all of it, but I just couldn't be bothered to care. This is about the crew from the Anomaly Files, and they get caught up kind of investigating sort of the disappearance of this teenage girl in this very, very small town. They're not exactly directly involved at first, but they get involved, and it's like their reason for being involved doesn't really make sense, and I don't know. It just wasn't, nothing happened. Nothing happened for so long, and I kept holding out for something to happen, and it just did it for so long that I DNF'd the book, and I try not to DNF books. I try not to, but like I'm not afraid to do it, I guess. So there it is. Okay, next I have Glass Sword by Victoria Aveyard. This is the second book in the Red Queen series, and this is actually not the one where I decided I was going to stop reading the series, but this one, it just, okay, so I didn't read YA books until I was an adult. I didn't read like YA books that were advertised as YA, because when that first started, it was like Twilight. Twilight was a thing, and as a teenager, I decided that that was not my thing, and I equated all YA to being like Twilight in my mind, which is not true. They're not all like Twilight, and lots of people like Twilight anyway, so but I stayed away from that stuff until I saw the cover of Red Queen, and it's like this silver cover, and it's like very almost like minimalist, but then it has this like red blood dripping from the crown, kind of like this. I mean, all the covers look very similar, but it's like metallic and interesting, and I read it and I ripped through it so fast. I was like, oh my gosh, this is so interesting and fun. Like, what a fun, just easy fantasy series to read. And then afterwards, I read a lot of YA fantasy and realized that it's all, no, I shouldn't generalize it like that, but a lot of it is very, very similar. And so this just has so many typical tropes and typical twists, and I don't know, I didn't hate it. It just wasn't as good as I thought it was going to be, I guess. I didn't like it as much as I liked the first book, and I think I liked the first book only because I hadn't read any like recent YA fantasy. So there it is. Next year, the Gill Ghoul, probably the worst deception of them all, the Gill Ghoul, which was just such a bad book. It was just boring and confusing, and the characters were, everything was just so stereotypical. There was lots of boobies and like shooting blood out of boobies. I think that happened. I don't know. Lots of nipple talk. This is about a woman, a young woman who is Jewish. On her wedding day, she gets possessed by this vengeful demon, and then this journalist, reporter somehow gets mixed up in this, and he decides to find out what the demon wants. Like, what would it take for the demon to leave this family alone? And it's just, I don't know, it's like very strange revenge plot, and it just wasn't very good. Another great vintage cover that was just so boring is Twice Blessed by Patricia Wallace. This cover is so very zebra horror, probably like a lot of other zebra horror books. Like, the content was just not very good. It was a story without much of a plot. There's like a lot of medical stuff that was very uninteresting, and like, I think I would like medical stuff if it was written better, you know. But this is about a young boy named Galen who has a twin sister, and one morning Galen's mother sees him come downstairs out of the house and walk in front of a car, and he's in a coma, and they're trying to find out like why he did this or if he did this. And it was just, it was just very, like, even when you find out, when they solve the mystery, it's like, I don't care. I don't know, it was not very good. Then I have Last Days by Adam Neville. This one I didn't dislike, but it was just very, very long. There were parts that were very creepy, but it was just so long. It was so long. It's about 530 pages long. It seems like it should be longer. Like, this felt so long. But this cover is so beautiful. It's like luscious in such a creepy gloomy way, and it's like, I would like to live there in this creepy forest, but also not if it is anything like this book. There were very creepy elements. It was a very creative book. It just was so long. It was so long, you guys. Then I have Out Behind the Barn by Chad Lutsky and John Bowden. This one has such an interesting cover. I love the color scheme in this and the creepy dried blood, and you're like, what is it? Is this a family tree? Like, what's going on here? And this is about two boys. They have kind of a mother figure that they know is not really their mother, and their mother figure brings home people now and then as kind of like companions for them, but they always just seem to disappear after a while. I don't know. This one it's another one where I didn't like dislike it. It's a novella, and I think, I don't know. How do I say this without being a piece of shit? Like, I think you have to have good chops, you know, to craft characters and a compelling plot and a good mystery into a 100-page book. And I think some people can do it masterfully, and I think some people maybe can't as well. And I think that this one just fell into that category where it's like there weren't big enough feelings in this for me. I know, like I said, I know a lot of people really liked this book, but I don't know. It deceived me. I thought I would like it so much more. This one, though, this is one of my favorite covers of all time. It's just so much fun. This is Tales from the Talking Board, and it's edited by Ross Lockhart, right? Where does that say it anywhere? Ross E. Lockhart. This is an anthology basically about Ouija boards or talking boards, and I don't know. I don't really get along with anthologies super well, but this one was really quite boring for the majority of it. There was only maybe 3 stories that I thought were even interesting, so that was a little bit disappointing. But like I said, when I go into anthologies, I don't ever really expect to be super wowed by them, so I don't know what to tell you about this. But the cover is so much fun, so creative. That was a great decision that they made, making it look like a Ouija board. Is this like a really super negative video? I hope not. I mean, it kind of is. I don't know. Is this a good time to release such an... I don't know. Next I have Wicked Saints by Emily A. Duncan. This is a YA fantasy that's like Russian inspired. There's a couple of those out there. And this one just fell short for me. There was not a lot of good world building. It was really hard to tell. It was hard to visualize like what was going on with the characters. It just fell into some of those really familiar overplayed tropes where it's like, who can this woman trust? And just kind of stuff like that. And it's like the main character herself, I couldn't understand. She's like supposed to be blessed by the saints, and they lend her their like magical powers. There's like this political stuff going on here. It's like one country trying to invade another. She like does the bidding of the saints, but it's like she doesn't know why she does it. She just does it. And that bothered me because it's like, can't you think for yourself a little bit? Like, I get maybe then you won't have their magical powers if you don't do what they want you to do, but like, I don't know. I don't know. It got a little messy. I'm not even really sure about the ending. Like, it's confusing, and I think, man, the world building is just like, because that was so sparse in my opinion, it was so hard to, like I said, visualize what was happening with these characters. There's this like fight scene at the end, of course, and I don't know. It was really disappointing because it's such a gorgeous cover. Okay, and very, very last, this is Six of Crows by Leigh Bardugo, and I know this probably is gonna ruffle feathers because so many people really loved this duology and like the Grisha first stuff, and I liked the trilogy, the Shadow and Bone one. I liked that pretty well, and so I thought that I would love this. It's so beautiful because so many people love this, and I read it and it just seemed to drag on forever, and I didn't really like any of the characters, and I don't know. It was a big disappointment for me. I can see maybe why I can see why people would like this, especially when it's like a different story told in a familiar setting, you know, if you read the Grisha first. So I don't know. I don't know about this. I recently read Ninth House by Leigh Bardugo though, and I absolutely fucking loved that. So I like her writing. I just didn't like Six of Crows. One thing I can tell you though is that there's a queer character in here, and it's like there is no indication through like 3/4 of the story that this character is queer. And like, I'm not saying that if you are a queer person, you need to bound around everywhere and like shoot rainbows out of your ass and be like, I'm gay, because that's just like not how people are. But it was so weird that it was like nothing, and then all of a sudden it's like, oh, this character's queer, and then the rest of the book they're like, I'm queer. And I don't know, I don't like when books do that. It's like, it seems dishonest. It seems like, I don't know, how do I verbalize that? Like, it seems cheap, like, oh, now this is just a token queer character, and I hate that. It's like, if you're going to make a queer character, make them just as rich as you would any other character. Like, what the fuck, Leigh Bardugo? That really upset me. And there's been a couple other, like, Sarah J. Maas's A Court of Thorns and Roses series. There was something similar in there. It was like no indication at all, and then it's like, oh, you didn't know this about this character? And it's like, no, because you didn't. Is that a very shitty opinion? I don't know. I don't think so. Like, I want my gay characters to feel just as real as any other character, and it's really a travesty when authors feel compelled to make a book diverse just for the sake of being able to say that it's diverse, but like not putting the work in to make it feel that way, you know what I mean? So, I don't know. That's all I have for right now, I guess. Now to film 20 other videos. Just kidding, not that many, but a few. So those are my dumb opinions. If you don't agree with them, that's okay. You're allowed to have your own dumb opinions. Yeah, that's it. Happy quarantine. Hopefully you're self-quarantining, because like, just don't be dumb. I get that people are like, it's just a flu, but it's not, and I have asthma, so like, I feel like I need to be very cautious, and it's not just elderly people who are getting sick. Like, it's at the point where there's just not the medical facilities to take care of anybody who needs certain kind of medical intervention and medical equipment now. So like, don't be a dick, self-quarantine, like stay away from people, please. Not just for your sake, but for their sake too. And I hope you're staying sane. And man, it has been a fucking crazy last few days. So stay sane. I hope you guys find a good book to read if you're able to focus on that shit, or like play a video game you love, or do some crafts, or organize some shit in your house. I don't know. I just hope that you guys are doing well and staying healthy and staying safe and staying sane. Okay, that's it. I am done lecturing. I will see you guys later.